Good evening, everyone. I am the Commish. This is Hardcore Challenge Live, the official webcast of the Hardcore Challenge, the pinnacle of fantasy football competition. So, we are on the cusp of Week 6. We are rolling right through another season of the Hardcore Challenge. And we are already into Week 6. We are already starting to see separation as we discussed last night. We have one undefeated team. We have one winless team. We have 6 4-1 teams, 5 of them division leaders, 1 in second place, chasing the only undefeated team. And then a whole bunch of guys at 3-2 and 2-3 who are scraping. And then also we debuted our oh shit list last night. So hopefully you weren't on the oh shit list, as I know some of you were. Some of you were. So hopefully you can pull yourself off that this week and remove yourself from the oh shit list. But tonight is getting ready for Week 6. And that means we must unveil our game of the week. So we put some clip art up earlier, and on the pages, on the league pages, as well as most of the groups. So it's obviously a fairly easy one to discern who the game of the week is this week. And it is not taking place in the NFC as it has the last 2 weeks. The AFC gets the spotlight this week, as you have 2 former champions, the defending and current Hardcore Challenge champ, Tom Mandic, owner of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. He is the 2010 and 2016 league champion. Facing off Sunshine, you ain't got to worry about sharing this one. Share the other one. I don't care about this one. This is a select group. So, Stinky Pinky, who Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood is facing off against, is the 2013 league champ. So you have the 2013 league champ against the current champ, 2010-2016 champ. Both teams are sitting in first place in their divisions. You have Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood leading the league in scoring, number 1 in the power rankings, sitting at 5-0. Against Stinky Pinky, who was undefeated until last week. Took their first loss. They slid down 2 rankings. They were second in the power rankings. They dropped to 4th. They're still currently 3-1-1, half game over their arch rival Tame Terrors in second place. So let's take a look at the matchup. Obviously, you have Aaron Rodgers for Tom going against Jameis Winston for Stinky Pinky. Hold on just a second. Sorry. Apologize. Jameis is on the road at the Cardinals. Aaron Rodgers is on the road at Minnesota. We've seen how garbage Minnesota was on Monday night. Aaron Rodgers is going to absolutely shred them. Jameis, it's hard to tell what Jameis is going to do. He may have an all right game at Arizona. They're not stellar, although they do have a good set of defensive back corners and defensive backs, but I got to give the advantage to Aaron Rodgers. Now, Gurley and Hunt. That running back combination has absolutely slayed everybody they've faced. Now, Stinky Pinky has a fairly formidable running back combo as well, with Thompson from Washington and Howard from Chicago. But this week, I just don't see where they're going to match up. I just don't see it. And I give the advantage big to Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood in the running back department. Wide receivers, Devontae Adams, Martavius Bryant for Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood against Crowder from Washington and Landry from Miami. Again, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood has a little advantage at the wide receiver position as well. Tight ends, I give to Ingram, New York Giants tight end for Stinky Pinky over Dixon. Ed Dixon tight end for Carolina. Dixon's just not been that. I'm not sold on him for this game at home against Philly. I don't know. I think Ingram's going to get off because he's at Denver. Denver typically gives up a lot of fantasy points to tight ends, and I think that's going to be the first advantage we see on Stinky Pinky's roster. Now at the flex, this is a scary proposition to see who Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood has shoved in at the flex. He's got Doug Martin. He already has Kareem Hunt and Gurley. Martin just came off of suspension. So he showed that they're going to use him last week. If Doug Martin comes out and has a solid season after the suspension, ladies and gentlemen, we could be in trouble. Because if Gurley, Hunt, and Martin are all clicking, we've got a reincarnation of I'm Thinking Arby's back on our hands, and we've seen what that's done to us before. So that one concerns me. So I'm hoping we don't see Doug Martin starting to get off, because that could be bad news for the rest of us. Kickers, wash. Defense, you got the Rams at the Jags for Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and you got the Packers at Minnesota. Stinky Pinky, Packers at Minnesota. The Vikings are not a good team right now. The Vikings are not a good team. Now, at the individual defensive positions, Stinky Pinky has not adjusted his roster yet. I know he's going to. He's still got two currently guys on bye on his individual defensive players at the linebacker and his defensive flex position. So it's a little hard to gauge what he's going to do there. He does have Joey Bosa, who can get some points. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood has Myles Garrett, as well as Houston, who has put up big points at his flex position. So it's a little hard for me to gauge what they've got going on at the defensive back position, but in the defensive individual player position as a whole. NFL.com has Stinky Pinky a 30-point dog already. Now, he is going to plug in a couple defensive players, but they're probably not going to get more than a 5-point projection. So he would still be a 20-point dog at best. They see him as a dog. Do I see him any different? So, man, before I make a decision, let's look at the stats here. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood is 5-0. 5 straight wins. Stinky Pinky is 3-1-1. A tie, and they're coming off a loss. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood has scored 896 fantasy points to Stinky Pinky's 687. Over 200 fantasy points more scored this season through 5 games. Is there really a choice here? I mean, I am 4-1 in my game of the week predictions, all except for Corey, who never bet on Corey. Just don't bet on Corey. And I should have learned that over the seasons. If I just don't bet on Corey in game of the week, I would have been fine. But I'm 4-1, and I plan to be 5-1 because I'm going with Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I don't think Stinky Pinky has the firepower, even close, to match what he's going to face this week. I'm telling you, the addition of Doug Martin worries me. Worries me personally. He's in my conference. I'm going to have to face off with him. I go head-to-head with him here soon as well in a few weeks. So his team is stacked, and I'm concerned. Now I go face-to-face, head-to-head with the Stone Ponies. And I see you out there, Mr. Stone. I'm I'm getting back to 500 at your expense this week. Just so you know. But I'm picking Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Also picking myself to beat Stone Ponies. And we'll see how both of those projections work out. Because I need to win bad. But this is really the biggest matchup you have this week in both conferences. 2 former champs, 2 division leaders, number 1 in the power rankings, number 1 in the league in scoring, and the defending champ. All wrapped up in one freaking game. If that ain't a game of the week, I don't know what is. So, this should be an interesting matchup. I'm curious to see if Stinky Pinky has the firepower to match up with Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. But we're going to see. We're going to see this week. So, week 6 starts tomorrow. Make sure you get your moves. Make sure you get your team ready. Because week 6 is upon us. And some of us are already in the oh shit list. Some of us are on the bubble. And some of us really, really need a win, like myself. So, it's an important week. Are you ready for the challenge? Good luck. Game on.